Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on to greet you with a happy solstice 2023. Yes, we are coming on today to usher in a wonderful solar and vibrant summer solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere where I am filming from today. Of course, welcome to all of you tuning in from the Southern Hemisphere as well. What an awesome period of time and energetic signature we are moving into. I feel that it's just really vibrant and opportune and much more sensible and able to be understood, some of the energy that we're moving into right now. Before we continue with the video, I do want to give you an update about my content. Yes, all of the 12 monthly sign-by-sign forecasts are now exclusive to Patreon. Over there, you can find all of the readings ad-free, and you can also get weekly forecasts called T-Chats, where I reflect on the current energies of the general time and talk about upcoming astrology transits. All of this is paired with wonderful audio quality and efficient navigation to help streamline your access to this premium content. So yes, going hand in hand with this update, I am offering a 7-day free trial to my Patreon page, meaning that you can get your first 7 days free. So yes, that will be linked below in the top comment, as well as in the top right-hand corner of this screen. Definitely come and check out the new updated Patreon. We have a lot of really exciting premium content over there, and it's just beautiful and very easy to work with. So thank you all so much, and let's continue with the video. In this video, it's not going to have too much of a specific outline, as I'm wanting to mainly hold a space for us to come together in this live premiere and spend some time catching up. But yes, I will be going over some intuitive messages about what is open to us to learn during this time at a very macrocosmic level. I'm also going to be talking about what we're leaving behind at this point, as I feel that this solstice of 2023 is a long period of leaving, a very strong period of leaving behind long-running, difficult and dark cycles. I feel that there is a cycle or a way in which we were repeating ourselves before that is really disintegrating here. There is a larger disintegration happening during this time of the year, and it's preparing us to be healthier, better, wiser, and more formidable people for the oncoming years that will have a lot of people really reaching to express some of their own personal ultimate cause energy. And I think that that's something that just makes me feel very optimistic, as we really are in one of the more optimistic and wellness-oriented, holistically wellness-oriented energies that I've felt in a long time, maybe even in my life so far. And I know that for some people that might be quite grand sounding, and it is, and how is that happening? You know, for a lot of us, we're so confused about, how can I get more healthy, with all of the chaos in the world, with the economic unrest, social unrest, food supply issues. How could it be that this period of time might be kind of inching us toward a greater spectrum of health, optimization, well-being, and really fine-tuned energy? Well, it's because we're starting to see through the previous limitations that we had on our reality. I feel that a lot, not only of socially imposed limitations are falling away, but also dimensionally imposed limitations are falling away. So that's the first thing that I want to talk about in this solstice video. As we're moving through this time with these long days, it's really showing us and lighting up the previous confusion that we've had, and breaking through. So many breakthroughs happening for people, so many very positive understandings of, okay, that actually isn't a limitation, or I actually can have leverage like this. I actually can be a part of that group. I actually am more capable of living in a way that is more relevant and more authentic to myself. A big growth in authenticity happening right now. And I think that it's very hopeful to consider during this 2023 solstice what dense or confusing energy is still hanging on, and in what way am I not believing in like the possibility of the future, or in what way am I being safe by cutting off something very important to myself. We're really going to be healing up some wounds of deprivation, which is something that I have written down about this solstice. In fact, I have written down, which I think is a nice way to put it, through decrease, we are no longer deprived. Systems, functions, and efficiency lead to a more wieldy creation of personal energy, and what has previously been out of order opens our eyes to the better organization of future events. So that's a little bit complicated, but yeah, let's repeat that and go through that one more time. So through decrease, we are no longer deprived. And through understanding and looking at what has previously been out of order, our eyes are opened to the better way in which we can organize future events. So we're reimagining, reinventing, for some of us, our relationship to time, and also how we put together the choices for the future as well. So yes, this is so macrocosmic type of energy, like people really getting high up there and elevating their energy to see how to move forward. And there's going to be something like over the last few months since the calendar new year of 2023, since January, you might be saying, okay, well, it might have been better if I would have done that before this, or it might have been better if I would have just kind of switched that around a little bit and kind of gone in a different order. If you have anything in your life, like if you're looking at the order of events, or if you're looking at the choice to place like building blocks, like placing one block of choice on top of the other, and eventually you're building like a skyscraper of experience, that is something that we can start to redo the architecture of a little bit here. And we do have to take stock. We also, I feel, just need to have the most smooth running, efficient systems in our lives that we can during this time, to really dial into the next way that things are going to be coming through. So 2023 is a gift of a year, and the solstice, of course, means that, of course, it depends on if you think the year starts in January or March. The calendar year starts in January, but spring equinox is in March. We're a quarter of the way through the year, if we're thinking of starting at the spring equinox. And that means that we still have the lion's share of the expectation to fulfill for the year cycle of 2023. And what the solstice can give to us is a vast illumination of like what blocks should be put on top of each other, or what experiences need to be stacked, and then also how things need to be reordered to get to a better place. So bringing that down to a more mundane level, what this could actually look like is choosing to finish one project before starting another, choosing also to have resolution about a multitude of projects, especially if you're someone who has a multitude of focuses. I know a lot of people who watch my channel are like that, either have many projects going on at once, many businesses, many different just expressions of energy happening simultaneously. We're going to see a growth and expansion in that type of person, in that inherent multitasker. Saturn in Pisces is actually pretty good for multitasking and for creating systems out of a multitude of expressions. So that would also be something good to look at during this time. Is like, am I giving myself enough time, space, and wellness to have a multitude of interests in my life? This might sound very mundane to some people, but I feel that that is an important area of healing for a lot of people in the 2023 year cycle, is having like many different rods in the fire, or having many different options. And I do see a lot of people getting really stressed out about that as well, and feeling like I should only have one focus, the ultimate cause, the sole focus of my life, and that should be all that I ever do. And I'm seeing like an identity crisis happening for a lot of people around this thought that like, okay, because I have so many capabilities, or because I'm a generalist, because I am afraid maybe to commit also to one thing, I can't place myself around other people. I can't explain who I am. I can't explain what I'm doing. So the identity crisis is also really up for it here in the solstice of 2023. And I think it's a really good time also to solve that. And actually today, as I was meditating a bit before this video, that's something that I understood in myself and in my own spiritual journey was like, okay, I feel like maybe a bit of stress about not really being able to commit to just like one edifice or one, slogan of like what I am as a person. And then I kind of realized, but that in a way can be a superpower. And it can be a detriment as well. It can be hard. It's harder to meet people for the first time. It's harder to like, when you're a very multifaceted or multi-project oriented person, it's like overwhelming sometimes and a little bit eccentric. But it's also kind of a superpower to have multiple different definitions. Saturn in Pisces, right? This is a multi-dimensional definitive system. So these cut and dry stereotypes, these two-dimensional contracts, these two-dimensional papers, these two-dimensional frames of who we are, and sort of like price tags on our work or price tags on our identity are something that I feel are very challenging for us to deal with, regardless of where we're at, whether we're someone who's like so consolidated with the identity and we know exactly who we are and exactly who we fit in with, or whether we're completely kind of like ghosting in and out of different spaces. I think this is a hard thing right now in general, because I think that human consciousness is evolving to an extent where it's able to perceive so much more at once, or it's able to, we see this through social media. Like if you scroll through the YouTube homepage, God, how many things are you like processing at once? Like you're processing probably 500 different concepts, 500 different people, different locations, different moods, different emotions, different things. And you're able to kind of like experience it all at once, or within 10 seconds, you're kind of like aware of everything that's happening at once. And this is such a multidimensional kind of like hard thing, I think, for humans in a way to deal with, because it's just so new. It's so new to have all of this to process and all of this to focus on at once. So what I want to say with this in correlation to the 2023 solstice is that rather than taking things so personally, like if you are having an identity crisis, rather than freaking yourself out or getting really worried about things being kind of like messy or chaotic, I might more so see that as like a collective generational backdrop right now, more so than like a personalized defect or a personalized error. And I also feel that a lot of people may feel too singled out during this time as well, when in reality there are like thousands and thousands of people going through it as well. And if we can just come together, maybe through social media or any other avenue that people are willing to suggest to like understand the common ground, I think that we're going to be a lot stronger. So yes, connectivity and solidarity, Solstice 2023. There's a big turning point, you guys, with how we connect to other people happening. And this is probably the most potent thing that I can talk about for this year's solstice. And I've been feeling this, you guys. I've been feeling this since the 2023 year ahead videos, which I'll link below. But for me, as kind of a sort of like introverted person, I mean, I'm kind of both, but like I'm definitely, sort of a very independent and personalized person, and I enjoy privacy. It's been like a challenge for me to see this coming through at the collective level, but it's also really good, and it's really important that isolation does not have the same fruit that it had before for most people. And we are definitely moving into an energetic territory that is much more reliant on leverage and integration and friendship, solidarity, group team activities to get things done rather than pushing the boulder up the hill by ourselves. So if you have anything in your life that's like that, like I do it all by myself, I don't, have any help, I live alone in my own house, and I do all the cleaning and all the cooking, and I do all the working, and I do all of these like things, this is starting to get really tiresome. And it's hard because we went through a period of time like over the 2010s that really generated an individualistic relationship to lifestyle. And all of a sudden that's kind of over. And there's a limit to what certain lifestyle experiences mean alone at this point. And yes, there's always going to be very spiritual people. If you're on a spiritual path, this is kind of different. where it becomes almost like a monastic kind of experience, or it's like being like the lifestyle of like a monk or a nun or something. But I would also remind you that that is typically done in a community setting as well, or in a place where there are others also on the same path. And then there's also sort of like solitary energy, which some people are doing very beautifully right now, I must say. But even these people who have been more solitary in their lives, or who have been more hermited away, we're seeing the hermit reversed here in 2023. I really think so. You know, after we went through what we went through in 2020, I think everybody's a little bit more personalized, or a little bit more connected or attached to their home environments. And I have definitely gotten a psychic insight over the last few weeks, and I've touched on this, I believe, in 7 Days of Solstice already, where a lot of people are going to have that equal and opposite reaction to all of that personal time, or all of that isolation, and there's going to maybe have to be a lot of traveling or a lot of social activity for people to reintroduce themselves to themselves, actually. I am seeing that identity crises are very much solved by understanding yourself in other cultures, in other languages, in other places, in other climates as well. That will, I think, help some people to learn more about who they really are as they like experience themselves in multiple different countries, or multiple different climates, or multiple different environments. They see what the constants of themselves are. However, if we're like isolated in the same environment every day, we're then like maybe shifting a lot more through different versions of ourselves, or through different psychological viewpoints or perspectives or lenses of life. And I think that there's a very good excuse for some people to get on the road, okay, like now, to get to the airport for some people. What a wonderful Gemini season. Oh my gosh. If you've been like flying, if you've been like traveling during this time, you're like light years ahead of most people, because a lot of people are going to like have to put this off until 2024 or 5 or 6 because of having to get like certain systemic issues in their own personal lives ordered or put back together before they can, in their own minds, justify a time of movement. But yeah, if you can move during this time, or if you can start to experience other places, I think that it will really help to remind you of how you want to move forward in general in a more solid way. That's another area of difficulty I feel for the collective consciousness right now, is like a generalized back and forth or volatility on what the next step is, or what the general linear path forward, the known path forward, the planned or predicted path forward. I mean, we could kind of see through that right now and just do what we need to do. I think that there's a lot of debilitated like mental chatter during this time, and not enough action, not enough meaningful, trustful, is that a word? Not enough meaningful action from a place of trust in the universe, from a place of trust in higher power, and too much trying to like think our way through, or plan our way through, strategize our way through. And I'm seeing a lot of people in a certain like shadowy strategic place, or I don't know, it's just so much time and energy going to that, and like nothing is actually shifting, which I think is kind of a holdover energetically from the 2020 time period. Okay, I think that it's like a way of channeling energy in the mind, or a way of internally channeling some of the external chaos that is prevalent right now. This period of time of Solstice 2023 is a great time to start letting that go, and to start doing the things that higher power has opened for you. So like kind of just knowing what doors are open, what doors are closed. Also being aware of what has a time limit, and kind of redoing these priorities, right? And definitely prioritizing important things that have time limits, and then maybe placing a little bit less priority on things that are kind of like nebulous or unknown, and moving in a more sensible way like that. And I think that the entire perspective is liable to change past this time of solstice, as people start looking from things from a perspective of vision and overall vision instead of like minor actions that are myopic or short term. So yes, it's good news for some people and hard news for other people, but it's like, if you can shift your thinking, like if you have any questions that are like hard about your life, or if you have anything that you feel like isn't working well, or like any major changes you're wanting to make, as you start to navigate that, if you can shift more toward the overall vision of what it is that you're moving toward instead of like Band-Aid moves, okay? So yeah, big gestures coming in there. I do feel maybe this isn't until 2024 for some people, but if you're super ahead, things might come early and maybe already even by solstice of 2023, there is a grandiosity about the way you're moving forward, or there's like a major purchases for some people, major commitments to a different way forward, or a reprioritization of focus, okay? Again, for people who have so many different focuses or have so many different ways forward that they're planning to move, I feel that it's redone, the hierarchy of that is redone, or the prioritization of it all is starting to be redone by people in a way that actually makes sense. So what that's going to take is also a generalized holistic sense of well-being. So it's going to be hard to do that reprioritization if we're exhausted all the time, if we don't have a good rest and recovery system in place, if we don't have solid transportation, if we don't have solid, connections or relationships, if there's anything that's like boiling over, which for a lot of people has already been totally straightened out by like the end of 2022. But if there's anything that's like boiling over, or just like really hard, like you're losing sleep over it, or kind of like volatile things in your life that aren't able to be kind of like put into a more efficient place, I think that it will be a good time to start working on a countervision, or working on a different way that all of this fits in. For some people, yes, breakups. For some people, new jobs, new visions, and totally new territories are coming up. And then there's kind of, I think, one of the middle zone manifestations right now. Like, it's not like the worst thing that could be happening, but maybe it's not like the best thing either. Sort of like a limbo, but not even limbo. It's a little bit better than limbo. But it's like, okay, something is on its last legs. Something doesn't work well anymore, but we're also not confident enough to move towards what we really want or make changes. So there's kind of like a settling, or there's also a desperation that can fuel like a major anchoring or commitment to a current territory. All right, if that's happening, let's go into that for a second. If that's happening, I think that this is, again, a crisis of vision meeting a crisis of identity. Okay, so identity is also vision. It's like a self-vision. This is a matter of vision here. This is a matter of like the overtone or the overall reason why certain things are being contributed to at an energetic level. And we can totally rework this right now, or spend time thinking of different ways, spend time considering different avenues forward and overcoming the desperation, or establishing contingencies, establishing plan B, establishing things that are other options or other ways. But we have to get the vision right first, or we have to get the overtone right first. So like things that clash are something that I feel we're sorting through right now. I think that a lot of us are trying to get things in a more harmonious and better matching, better organized place right now. And I think that everybody who's trying to do that will basically be supported by the general astrology right now, by the collective consciousness. And I also feel that it's not as hard as some people are making it out to be to have what they want or to actually move. What's hard is thinking about it too much before it happens, or trying to establish a control over something that hasn't happened yet. I feel like that's very debilitated, but prevalent right now, is like trying to think, okay, if I do this, what's it going to be like? How can I know exactly what's going to happen? How can I be ready for it? How can I plan for it? Yes, we do want to see an overcoming of that, and we want to see that instead there is a trust that we are supported or divinely guided as we step onto the path when it's time. So it feels that many of us are kind of redoing our relationship with time during this solstice. I think that a lot of people's days are kind of skewed, and I've talked in some of the other 7 Days of Solstice series about how people are kind of like really caught up with false light, and that's really something that increases with like phone usage and technology, and it's day when it's night and it's night when it's day. Types of lifestyles that can start to reverse here as well, as of course here in the Northern Hemisphere we're at the longest day. This is the longest day of the year, and it means also that there is something that is in full bloom, or something that is in full force during this time, and that helps people to really apply an energetic change, or if there's something you've been needing to change, if there's as I've also talked about, we're kind of collectively crossing a threshold right now from like June until August of 2023. There's kind of like a larger movement that's happening towards a more trusting place, or towards a place that's not so like frivolous or desperate or dark or edgy, and people are moving into a much more kind of abundant and trusting place. I feel if you're doing well, if the energy is coming through naturally. So that's definitely something we can talk about as well in this solstice chat. Getting to that place where there is trust in the naturally received abundance, where we trust that we're supported, where we trust that we aren't going to be in a compromising position, or that we're going to create a lifestyle that's not kind of beneath abusive people, or not reliant on also certain constructs, like overabundance of money, or like things that are once you get into that really expensive lifestyle, then you're like dependent on like making the money, and it's kind of like not bad if you like how you make the money, but it is bad if you don't, and it's hard. And I'm seeing a major ability to start overcoming things like that. And yes, for those of you who've been wanting to like step into more authentic careers, step into like your own business, working in healing, or whatever it is that you like to do, I think that this is also a very opportune time for people who are healers, or people who are able to help others in any way, whether that's through traditional or status quo medical work, or whether that's in through like astrology or therapy or counseling. There's going to be, I think, an expansion of these industries and of these pursuits and professions as well past this point in time. So if you've been looking to do something like that, this could be a positive period of time for that, as it is sometimes through these kinds of channels that people really overcome certain blockages or overcome certain obstacles. And I think that you will be seeing during this time that you have to kind of heal up some of those previous societal expectations or limitations around, okay, you have to do this to get that, or there's no other way, there's no other path. As this solstice of 2023 is aligning our general life path, so we can definitely stand to participate in that process, and to not like get too tied to the old paths. Okay, so that's something that we really need to go through here as well. The way that the path has worked before, the old memories, the muscle memory, what happened before when you put yourself out on a limb, what happened before when vulnerability was a part of the equation. As I feel everyone, okay, summer of 2023, the rest of this year, there's gonna be something that has to just be a little bit vulnerable, okay? It's not going to be possible to be Teflon, okay, during this time. It's not going to be possible to have no, Achilles heel. Everybody has that. Everybody has something that has a vulnerability. And I think that the less trusting that the collective becomes, or the less, or the more fearful that people become, the more they want to shield their vulnerabilities, or the more that they want to impose control. And that's the perfect recipe for trying to work in the same way, or trying to like look back, or trying to, like historians or people who understand the past tend to sort of, in a way, dictate how things work in the future. I do feel there's a diversion there. There's a disruption of this, and that which once was vulnerable or taken advantage of because it was vulnerable may now be rewarded for being vulnerable. So it's like a different way that I think our vulnerabilities, or what previously have been vulnerabilities, are functioning on this new path, or in this new paradigm that we're in ever since really Saturn went into Pisces and Pluto went into Aquarius. Now, of course, yes, we have Pluto having gone back into Capricorn. It is back in Capricorn now. But nonetheless, it's very different because it's been in Aquarius, and we've now seen over these last few months, with all the things that are coming into fruition, you know, from technology to all of that stuff happening there. It's a whole other video for another day. But yeah, there just is going to be some vulnerability with that. There's going to be some level of like, I don't know what it's going to be like to live in a world with this kind of technology, with this kind of centralization, also with this kind of competition, or this kind of different people vying for different, you know, goals. And we're really in kind of a collective storm of innovation, and not just innovation, but I don't even know what the right word is. There's a certain like storm of growth or fertility, I might even also call it, that is creating new things that we're not familiar with. So it's a time where familiarity is breached, and where people find themselves in vulnerable situations because of that. This is so good. This is like what I've been trying to dig for in this entire video, but it's kind of been hard to get to it. So familiarity is off by now. And because of that, I think that a lot of us really treasure that which is familiar, or there can also be like anger at that which is familiar, because that probably is what caused the breach. So I'm seeing like things which are familiar to people. So for example, family dynamics, you know, roots, culture, ancestry, heritage, those types of things I think are a big focus because of their familiarity. And as I think the greater collective has a disruption in familiarity, there could be a move back toward those like bloodline-oriented, heritage-oriented familiar constructs. And at the same time, equally as strong is going to be a kind of curiosity about the future. So I guess it's a really good time to be a psychic astrologer or whatever it is, because I think that people are now getting really interested in like, well, wow, now that there's so much that is like overcome through innovation, or so many wheels that I don't have to reinvent now, or so many like barriers are also being broken, you all, by these advancements. But we have to be creative in order to understand how to not just benefit from that, but to work with it, or to just be on that momentum of that sort of future expansion. It's a very pioneering time we're going to be entering in. And yes, I will say for some people it won't be in like still a few more years before they can really connect. But we're moving towards a greater time of like Saturn in Aries, Neptune in Aries in the future, Pluto in Aquarius, where it's going to be a very innovating, pioneering sort of gold rush probably that comes up quite down the line. And it might be good to get our spiritual ethics and like moral compasses in order during this time, okay? Like Saturn in Pisces, right? Neptune in Pisces. In fact, I would consider that one of the most important things that we could be doing, like right here, right now, is understanding like what we do and don't do, understanding what types of like deals, you know, if you're like a business person, are like considerable and what types aren't, you know, what types of structures are right, what types aren't. Also, how, okay, this is good, how money oriented versus how like socially oriented certain efforts are is going to be a big area of contention over these oncoming years. And I think that there's going to have to be some type of totally new way of structuring or organizing people, or goals or collective intentions, because that's kind of what's indicated to me by all of this storm of chaos. So you have like all these different ways that people can organize, whether it's like in a corporate environment, whether it's in like a nonprofit environment, whether it's through like social media, whether it's through, I don't know, politics. And it's like so many different ways of sort of like categorizing or branding different intentions. And I just think that that is something that's probably going to have a new offshoot or a new growth through this time. This astrology is indicating that there's kind of like brand new structures, brand new systems, brand new elevations that are really on the line here. And yes, navigating all of this is going to take that very well-refined pineal gland with a lot of sort of direct focus and intentional, deliberate knowledge of what it is that we're going for, a good vision. So it is really going to be like the time of the visionary, the time of the sort of like well-honed, well-filtered, well-expressed person. So confused expression, confused self-identity is, I think, just like a part of it, just because I think our self-perception and self-identification process is changing so drastically with the way the world's changing. But I think through this time, through this like Saturn in Pisces time, Neptune in Pisces time, I've made a whole video about how I'm feeling about Neptune being in the last part of Pisces. That is going to be a period of time where we probably do have confusion or do have some type of unsureness of how we're identifying or how we're placing ourselves. And through Saturn, I think also coming into the sign, there's going to then be like material progress or material knowledge of the self, which then gives us that ability to express in a much more polished and assured way. So yes, during this 2023 solstice, try to just illuminate like your sort of zest for life and what it is that you're going for, what it is that your vision has truly become. And I think that it's almost like hard to see it failing, or it's hard to see it not working out, but we do have to trust, and there's a sort of a bit of a bridge to cross there for a lot of people, and a decrease or pulling back on certain things that contradict or don't necessarily line up with this new vision that a lot of us are having. So yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of a, I suppose, stream of consciousness about what I feel people are going through when it comes to like identity and expression during this time. But as, again, for like much more mundane, like ground level stuff happening for this solstice, yes, as you've probably seen from the previous videos, we have like enhanced solar activity. This is the longest day of the year. This is the summer in the Northern Hemisphere. We have a lot of solar geomagnetic activity. So I think it just means that there is a increase in available energy. There's an increase in heat. There's an increase in light. Okay? There's an increase in just life force energy. So it should be a very opportune period of time. You know, this is very confined or condensed, I would say, just to like this month period of time, or 2 months maybe at the most, for the summertime here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's such a condensed period of time to just bring light to previous confusion, to recharge the battery. I would say being out in the sun could be good for a lot of people. Of course, you know, you don't want to overdo it. Don't get sunburned or anything, but try to do that in many different ways. So yes, like being out in the sun, but also like thinking at a more spiritual or symbolic level. What can I put out into the sun in my own life? What's gotten too dark? What's gotten too depleted? What's gotten overused? What's been compromised? What's been inefficient? And try to bring that stuff out into the sunlight and see it for what it is. Try to not put on rose-colored glasses, you know, like the moon archetype. Try to not put on a facade or an edifice that contradicts the truth of what things are. Try to really know what things are. And if things are tricky or if things are confused, at least know that they are that, okay? Because I feel like that's a way that people really undo a lot of the difficult energy of this time is by like not finding romance in the confusing, or not like romanticizing, things that are in the long term very negative. So understanding very clearly what is a gain or a loss for you, understanding very clearly what is a trajectory, like how much you actually have as well, time, money, energy, what you actually are working with, what your known resources are, also what your known detractions are, or your known ailments are, and reconciling all of this together to get an expansive understanding of like where you are versus like what your vision is. And then there you have like some actual real metrics to understand what it takes to get where you want to be, and also how close things are, and what the proximity of like the current situation is compared to like what you're like feeling. And then yes, for many people, they're actually starting to like get there, or there's actually like a great only like 1 or 2 steps that still have to be taken to get where they're trying to go. So on that note, everyone, I believe that I'm going to conclude this solstice chat. I've really enjoyed it. This 7 days of solstice run of content has been some of the most enjoyable content that I have done in a very long time, because it's just been kind of like open to stream of consciousness, and open to sort of just like voice some of the feelings that I've been having for quite a while lately. Yes, do check out the description box below. I have updated my Patreon page. I am also updating my channel. All of that is written out on the community tab, and also in a post on Patreon if you want to get some exact info on what that's looking like. And yes, we're looking at a really wonderful year ahead. I should either have a video by now, or a video coming soon that kind of details like why I've changed things, and what I'm feeling moving forward. Is it's just a very changing time for content creators, and a very changing time. It's not 2017 anymore on the platform, and it's not 2017 for Sky anymore either. So I'm sure you all can relate to how things have changed at both, small and large levels. So it's very joyous for me, and it's in no ways a negative experience. It's very positive, but yes, lots of trust, lots of trusted in things working out, which I hope that you guys are also implementing into your own experiences. And finally, yes, there will be many very exciting topics coming for the rest of the year on the channel. I should be talking more about this in the channel update video. But yes, I'm thinking of a really wonderful live premiere cycle for later this year, assuming that all goes to plan and nothing comes up. But yes, I am very excited to see what we create for the upcoming completion of this 2023 year cycle. And yes, there are years like 2024 as well coming, which are going to probably be quite expansive and exciting. So be sure to hit the subscribe button below if you're new, if you're not already subscribed. If you are subscribed, turn on the bell notifications so that you get notified when this channel posts. The notification system can be a little bit tricky here on YouTube, but I also have a mailing list below, which has been updated and made more efficient, and it's going to be starting to generate content as well. I plan to do like a monthly sort of update and newsletter, hopefully starting in July there. So check out that, and comment below and let me know how you're doing. I hope you guys have enjoyed the solstice video. This channel is also on Discord, and we'll be using that a lot more once live premieres start back up. So yes, lots of activity happening. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and I hope that you're loving the summer. Happy solstice, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and checking out this video. Much love. Bye.